In the shimmering glow of old Hollywood, beauty was more than skin deep, it was currency. Actresses were groomed, molded, and sold as perfect visions of glamour. Yet, behind the flawless photographs and the elegant gowns were women making shocking human choices. Some of Hollywood's most breathtaking women fell in love with or strategically married men who seemed their exact opposites. These unions baffled audiences, confounded gossip columnists, and sometimes destroyed careers. Here are 15 Golden Age starlets who married men the world thought were too ugly for them, and the real reasons they said, "I do." If this kind of story touches your heart, if you're someone who cares about truth, responsibility, and speaking up for the voiceless, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who should hear it. Let's get started. 1. Hedy Lamarr and Jean Markey. She was called the most beautiful woman in the world. He was a short, balding screenwriter and producer who looked like a school principal rather than a movie idol. When Hedy Lamarr married Jean Markey in 1939, Hollywood scoffed. Why would the luminous Austrian-born goddess, whose beauty inspired Snow White, fall for him? The truth was, Lamarr craved intellect. She had escaped a controlling marriage in Europe and longed for a man who valued her mind. Markey was witty, well-connected, and introduced her to the Hollywood elite. But the sparkle didn't last. His condescending attitude and wandering eye crushed her. Within a year, Hedy walked out, returning to her experiments and inventions that would one day lead to Wi-Fi technology. Her marriage to Markey proved that brains, not looks, were what she truly desired, but respect mattered most. 2. Ingrid Bergman and Roberto Rossellini. When Ingrid Bergman, Hollywood's angelic sweetheart, left her husband for Italian filmmaker Roberto Rossellini, the world erupted in moral outrage. Rossellini was rugged, intense, and unpolished, the opposite of her clean-cut image. America branded her immoral, and she was exiled from Hollywood for years. But to Bergman, Rossellini represented artistic freedom. She had grown tired of playing perfect women on screen and wanted to live authentically. He was not beautiful, she once said, but he saw me as a woman, not an icon. Their love produced 3 children, including actress Isabella Rossellini, but also chaos. Rossellini's affairs and controlling behavior ended the marriage. Yet, their union changed cinema, birthing the neorealist masterpiece Stromboli. Bergman risked everything for passion, and in doing so, redefined what it meant to be a woman in Hollywood. 3. Rita Hayworth and Orson Welles. Rita Hayworth was the ultimate fantasy, the pinup who danced her way into America's heart. Orson Welles was a genius, yes, but also overweight, egocentric, and disheveled. When they married in 1943, gossip columnists called it beauty and the brain. But their love story was more tragic than romantic. Rita adored Orson's brilliance, but his constant mood swings and infidelity broke her. "He never loved me," she said later. "He loved what he thought I was." She wanted stability, he wanted adoration. Their marriage crumbled within 5 years. Yet, even decades later, Welles admitted she was the only woman he truly loved. Their union showed that intellect and attraction can collide, but cannot always coexist. 4. Joan Crawford and Alfred Steele. Joan Crawford built her empire on discipline and ambition. By the time she met Alfred Steele, CEO of Pepsi-Cola, she was nearing 50 and terrified of fading relevance. Steele wasn't movie star handsome, short, thick-bodied, and unglamorous, but he offered something she hadn't had in years: stability and admiration. Their marriage in 1955 shocked Hollywood, but Crawford embraced it as her second act. She became Mrs. Pepsi-Cola, turning business meetings into red carpet events. When Steele died suddenly in 1959, Joan was devastated and used her grief to fuel her public persona as the strong, untouchable widow. To her, love wasn't about appearance, it was about power shared and legacy built. 5. Bette Davis and William Grant Sherry. Bette Davis, the queen of acerbic wit, had a knack for choosing men who couldn't handle her fire. Sherry, an artist amasseur, was a handsome enough man but lacked the charisma or drive to match her energy. What made this pairing shocking wasn't his face, it was his ordinariness. Bette said she wanted peace after years of Hollywood chaos. But Sherry's jealousy turned violent, and their marriage descended into bitterness. She later joked, "He was the only man who ever hit me, and I hit back." Their divorce was ugly, but it gave her what she needed, a dramatic story to channel into her next performance. In true Bet fashion, she turned heartbreak into art. 6. Marilyn Monroe and Arthur Miller. When Marilyn Monroe married playwright Arthur Miller in 1956, the tabloids went wild. She was the world's most desired woman. He was a bespectacled intellectual, the egghead who won the bombshell. But behind the headlines was a woman desperate to be taken seriously. Miller represented the world of literature, intellect, and moral seriousness that Marilyn longed to join. At first, she believed he saw her soul, but soon, she found pages in his journal where he described her as a disappointment. The betrayal cut deep. Their 5-year marriage ended in heartbreak and pills. Yet, through the pain, Marilyn delivered her most haunting performance in The Misfits, a collaboration with Miller that exposed their crumbling love. She had chased intellect, but found isolation. 7. Ava Gardner and Mickey Rooney. Ava Gardner was Hollywood's most intoxicating beauty, tall, sultry, and magnetic. Mickey Rooney, though wildly talented, was short, impish, and known for his womanizing. When the two married in 1942, even MGM executives laughed behind their backs. She was 19, he was already a seasoned philanderer. Their marriage lasted barely a year. Mickey's infidelity and arrogance shattered her. Yet, Ava later admitted, "I was too young to know better." Still, she credited him for teaching her what she didn't want. Ironically, it was Rooney's heartbreak that lingered. He often called Ava the love of my life. Their mismatch became one of Hollywood's most famous cautionary tales. 8. Elizabeth Taylor and Eddie Fisher. Elizabeth Taylor collected husbands like jewels, but her union with Eddie Fisher caused the biggest scandal of her life. Fisher, boyish and plain beside her violet-eyed beauty, left America's sweetheart Debbie Reynolds to be with Liz. The public was furious. For Taylor, Fisher offered comfort after the death of her third husband, Mike Todd. But soon she realized she'd traded grief for gossip. Fisher's career crumbled under the backlash, and Taylor's restless heart led her to Richard Burton. The Fisher affair proved that even the most glamorous woman in Hollywood could make a desperate emotional choice and pay the price publicly. 9. Judy Garland and Vincente Minnelli. Judy Garland's marriage to director Vincente Minnelli was less a love story and more a search for safety. She had been exploited by MGM since childhood, and Vincente seemed gentle, sophisticated, and artistic, qualities she desperately needed. But beneath his charm lay secrets Judy wasn't prepared for. Minnelli was gay, though not openly in that era. Their marriage was affectionate but strained by that truth. Judy's insecurity and addiction deepened, and eventually they separated. Yet, from their union came a gift to cinema, their daughter, Liza Minnelli. Their story was one of love meeting reality, two artists whose pain birthed legacy. 10. Claudette Colbert and Dr. Joel Pressman. Claudette Colbert was elegance personified, witty, independent, and one of the first actresses to command her own contracts. When she married Dr. Joel Pressman, a throat specialist, people were stunned. He wasn't glamorous, and he had no interest in Hollywood. But that was precisely why she loved him. After years of studio manipulation, Colbert wanted peace and partnership, not red carpets. Their marriage lasted more than 30 years, quietly and without scandal, one of Hollywood's rare happy endings. In the end, she chose normalcy over notoriety, proving that true love sometimes hides behind the unremarkable. 11. Grace Kelly and Prince Rainier III. Grace Kelly was the fairy tale princess of Hollywood long before she married a real prince. When she wed Monaco's Prince Rainier in 1956, the world swooned, but many privately whispered that the prince was far from her dream man. His stern demeanor and unromantic nature contrasted sharply with her ethereal grace. The marriage was more political than passionate. Grace had to give up acting and much of her freedom to become a royal. Letters from her later years revealed loneliness and regret. Yet she accepted her fate with dignity, saying, "I made my choice, and I live it every day." Her beauty elevated his throne, but her sacrifice cost her soul. 12. Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Taylor. Barbara Stanwyck was tough, brilliant, and fiercely independent. Robert Taylor, while handsome, was emotionally distant and rumored to be controlled by his studio. MGM saw their marriage as perfect publicity, but behind closed doors, it was a Cold War. Stanwyck adored him, but Taylor resented her dominance. Gossip columns called her the man in the relationship. When he finally left, she was shattered, yet she refused to speak ill of him, telling friends, "He gave me his best, it just wasn't enough." Their union was a tragic clash of strength and pride. 13. Jean Harlow and Paul Byrne. Jean Harlow, the blonde bombshell, shocked fans when she married Paul Byrne, a mild-mannered MGM producer twice her age and far from handsome. 2 months later, Byrne was found dead in their home, a supposed suicide that fueled endless rumors. Hollywood spun wild tales, jealousy, impotence, even murder. Harlow never spoke publicly about it, but insiders said she truly cared for him. His death haunted her until her own tragic passing at 26. Their story became one of Hollywood's darkest legends, a reminder that behind beauty often lies unbearable pain. 14. Lana Turner and Johnny Stompanato. Lana Turner was the definition of glamour. Johnny Stompanato was a violent mob enforcer with movie star ambitions. Their relationship was toxic from the start, fueled by obsession, jealousy, and abuse. Yet, Lana couldn't stay away. In 1958, it ended in tragedy when Lana's teenage daughter, Cheryl Crane, stabbed Stompanato to death while protecting her mother. The scandal dominated headlines, nearly destroying Lana's career. She later said, "I thought love could fix anything. I was wrong." It was one of Hollywood's most chilling reminders of how dangerous beauty can attract danger. 15. Katharine Hepburn and Spencer Tracy. On paper, Spencer Tracy wasn't ugly, but beside Hepburn's regal presence, he seemed ordinary, even fragile. Yet theirs was a love that defied Hollywood's morality. Tracy was married and devoutly Catholic. Their affair lasted 26 years in secret. Hepburn never married him, never demanded more than what he could give. "He was everything I wasn't," she said, "and I love him completely." It was not a marriage by law, but by devotion. In the end, their bond was deeper than appearance, a partnership of equals in spirit, if not in public life.